Hello guys, today I'm back with a video. Today I'll be talking about 15 underrated Fear Factory songs. Now, as some of you have noticed, I haven't uploaded it in a while, and to be honest, I just haven't had much motivation to do videos. Not a whole lot of motivation, and I've also been kind of low on ideas, and my mind has just been on other things lately. But either way, glad to be back with another video. Again, talking about 15 underrated Fear Factory songs. Now, this is not a top 15, and these songs are in no particular order. These are just 15 Fear Factory songs that I randomly selected that I feel are pretty underrated in my opinion. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive into it. The first song I want to talk about is WOE from their debut album, Soul of a New Machine. One of my personal favorites from that album, and also one of the shorter songs too. It's all pretty much just a short, heavy banger of a song. I really like this song a lot, especially how fast the song can be. You have your more faster moments, and you have your moments that are a bit more mid-tempo, and yeah, all around kind of an overlooked song. I mean, when it comes to Soul of a New Machine, most people talk about Martyr or Scapegoat, but the song kind of overlooked, and it's kind of one of the more overlooked songs that you'll find in the second half of the album. And overall, I think it's a pretty good song. I'd say that I think is again overlooked. But next we have Freedom or Fire, which was from the album Obsolete, and that's one of my personal favorites. Or this song is one of my personal favorites from that album. Kind of a unique song on the album, especially rhythmically, and the verses especially really make the song stand out for me. I musically I really enjoy the verses, and the chorus is also pretty good too. Definitely banger material right there. But yeah, Freedom or Fire, definitely a great song that I think is definitely kind of overlooked. To me, it doesn't get as much attention as other songs on the album like Edge Crusher or Shock or the Cars cover, and of course some others. But yeah, I always really dug this song, and maybe one of my favorite Fear Factory songs, to be honest. But next we have Acres of Skin from their album Digimortal. And I know that album is not for every fan, because of course some people are not fans of nu metal, and I mean, I like myself some nu metal, so of course I'm gonna enjoy the album. I also think that album is actually one of their best too. Not their best, not at the top, but again, one of their best in my opinion. But Acres of Skin, definitely one of the heaviest songs on the album, maybe the heaviest, maybe arguably, but I don't know, really good song that I think is kind of overlooked, because I mean, when it comes to Digimortal, most people go to songs like Lynchpin or maybe Invisible Wounds, but there's some pretty good deep cuts on that album, and I think Acres of Skin is one of them. And again, definitely one of the highlights on the album for me personally, I'd say. But next we have Corporate Cloning from their album Archetype, one of my personal favorites from Archetype. And I mean, yeah, it's not as awing or as wowing as some of the other songs in their discography or some of the songs on the album. I mean, the song doesn't do a whole lot to, I guess, stand out, you can maybe say, arguably, but for me, it's always been one of my personal favorites. And I also really like the chorus, especially Burton's vocals in the chorus. But yeah, Corporate Cloning, really great song in my opinion. The next we have New Breed from their big album, Demanufacture. Of course, many people talk about the title tracks, Self-Biased Resistor, Zero Signal, and Replica, but New Breed, I think, if I remember correctly, that's track number 5, so that's the song that comes first after the 4 big songs on the album. But yeah, the song, it's short, catchy, heavy, and it also has, of course, their signature industrial sound in there too. And yeah, all around just a short, catchy, heavy song in my opinion. But next we have Act of God, another song from Archetype. And this song, the best way to sum it up, it's just a banger. I mean, the riffs really pack a punch. I mean, the heavy nature of the riffs in that album are just, the riffs just really pack a punch in that album. And I also like the production of that album too. It's just raw and heavy, and personally, I dig the production on that album, and I think Act of God is one of the highlights from that album. Next, we have Cognitive Dissonance from their latest album, Aggression Continuum, and ever since first listen, this was immediately one of my personal favorites on the album. To me, I think it has some of the best instrumentation on the album, some of the best riffs from Dino. But next we have Church of Execution from their album Genexus. And Genexus is an album that I'd say is also maybe one of their best albums. Now, this is one of the shorter songs on the album. Maybe not as complex as some of the other songs on the album, but I don't know. I've always had a thing with this song. I don't know, but I've always really dug this song personally, and you really can't go wrong with any of the songs off that album. But Church of Execution is a song that I think that I don't really see many fans talk about, but maybe not a favorite for many people, but for me, it's one of my personal favorites off the album. And I also I really like the chorus. The next we have Digimortal, the title track from the album Digimortal. One of my personal favorites off that album. And definitely by listening to this song, you can tell that they're going in a more commercial or more straightforward approach with the structure of the song. And I mean, again, with Digimortal, they went in a more nu metal direction. The songs were a bit more straightforward, a bit more simplistic, and this song is no exception. It's definitely a fairly straightforward song. You have, of course, the melodic chorus that I really dig, but yeah, Digimortal, overall, definitely one of my favorites from the album, and yeah. But next we have Suffer Age, another song from Soul of a New Machine. One of my personal favorites from that album, from that debut, and I just really like the dark, I don't know if eerie is the right word, but that long intro / build up in the song that leads into, of course, some brutal heaviness towards later in the song. But I really like the build up of the song. And I don't know if I'm the only one that hears this, but the build-up of this song kind of reminds me of the build-up / intro of the song Loco by Cold Chamber. Now, of course, Loco came later, so I don't know if Cold Chamber stole this build-up here. Who knows, but I definitely hear some similarities there. But yeah, Suffer Age, really like this song a lot. To me, one of the highlights from their debut. But next we have HK Hunter Killer. Now, with Demanufacture, the first half of the album definitely gets more attention than the second half, and I think Hunter Killer is one of the underrated gems from that album, and even one of the highlights on the album, I'd say. I mean, yeah, just kind of has its own thing going. I mean, it definitely fits with the album, but I think the song does enough to stand on its own, and I think it's a really good song. But next we have Christploitation from Mechanize. This song is just heavy and just all around a banger. I mean, now for the longest time, as a Fear Factory fan, this was maybe not one of the songs that I'd go to a lot as much, at least compared to now, because now it's one of my personal favorites from Mechanize. But yeah, I just really like the heavy nature of that song. But next we have Virus of Faith, which I think is one of the better songs off of Industrialist, and I do like Industrialist. I don't think Fear Factory, Transgression is kind of a weak album, but I don't think it's terrible or bad. But I wouldn't say Fear Factory has any straight up bad albums, but Industrialist is, in my opinion, one of their weaker albums. To me, it's the one album in their discography that kind of feels like more of the same to me, but still a decent album though, and I think Virus of Faith is one of the highlights off that album. But next we have Transgression, of course, the title track from the album, Transgression. Easily my favorite off the album. The song is heavy and raw, and it's definitely one of the songs I go back to the most from that album. But next we finally get to the last song here, High Tech Hate from their album Obsolete. This song to me has some nice groove to it. Has some nice rhythm work to it. I think Fear Factory has a pretty good rhythm section, and this song kind of proves that in my opinion. And basically the whole Obsolete album, or at least most of the album, but yeah, I think Fear Factory has a good ear for rhythm, especially with certain songs. But yeah, High Tech Hate, definitely a great song. But anyways, those are my 15 underrated songs. Let me know if you can think of more underrated songs in their discography and all the good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, like, subscribe. Have a nice day, and take care.